that book that's being produced by the University of Iowa Press. The title is called The Watershed Year, Anatomy of the Iowa Floods of 2008, edited by Cornelia F. Mutil. And it really, there's all kinds of maps, photos, charts, drawings, tables, and it just really goes into the analysis of this whole flood. And so I highly recommend this book, especially to understand what happened, because it's a scientific approach to what we went through, and I think everybody should know. So it's called The Watershed Year, Anatomy of the Iowa Floods of 2008, edited by Cornelia F. Mutil, and you can get it through the University of Iowa Press. I really felt sad yesterday when I heard what Jim Prosser decided to do. And so I get on the internet and the Gazette portion of that, and I start reading all the blogs. And there were a lot of them. I think the first article had 70 different entries, and some were in favor and some were not of Mr. Prosser. But one thing that really bothered me was what the writer of the article said. And you would think I would look at this just the opposite. Well, this is the status quo that we live by, and we don't even realize that we're doing it because we do it so much. The article said that Jim Prosser expected his staff to work long hours, and he was the biggest example of this. And this always rubs me the wrong way. Because what goes on in our society is that we, like I've said before, we try to get more out of our employees than what we should. And they go home so exhausted they have nothing left to contribute to their families. Now I think any time an entity is being funded by taxpayers' money, they should be the ultimate example of how to treat their employees, the ultimate example of employment, etc., etc. But we have this paradigm in our brains called lean, and we do just the opposite. But we don't think about the ramifications. The city staff, probably by the time they go home after working longer hours than what they should, have no energy left to contribute to their family. And this is just a microcosm of what's going on in this country and probably all over the world. We're working the employees that are working to death, and they can't contribute to their families because they're exhausted when they go home. And then we're not hiring anybody else, and they're all unemployed, so they really can't contribute to their families the way they should, because they're all uptight because they haven't got a job. And I just want this practice to stop. I don't want the Gazette bragging that Jim Prosser worked long hours and expected his staff to do that. I want us to get out of this paradigm. I want people to have something to contribute when they go home at night to their families and not be so exhausted. What are we trying to prove in this society? It is crazy what we're doing to ourselves. And that's pretty much what I want to say about that. I keep thinking about this smokestack at Sinclair. And I know that architects could integrate that into something phenomenal. But one idea that came to my mind, and you might think it's funny, is the term that would somehow use that as the inner structure of a lighthouse. And whenever we, I don't know if I mentioned this before or not, but whenever we have an important event or an emergency,
I have to interrupt you. You're at your 5 minutes.
Turn it on. turn on the light.